Hello, everybody. My name is Maurice Button. I'm the CEO of City Financial Global, and it's my pleasure to be interviewing Tom Greatrex this afternoon. Tom is the CEO of the Nuclear Industry Association, and he's kindly speaking at the 18th Annual UK Sustainable Infrastructure Summit, which is taking place next Thursday, 6th of July, at the Cavendish Conference Centre in London. Tom, welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Great to have you with us, Tom. Let's turn to the questions. First of all, how important was the recent announcement that nuclear would be classified as sustainable under the government's forthcoming green taxonomy? Do you think that that's going to make the building and delivery of nuclear projects easier?
I do. I think it's an important part of the framework for policy and investment in nuclear power going forward. Everybody who's involved in nuclear and is familiar with it understands already that it is a technology that provides lots of electricity from a very small geographical footprint without any carbon emissions at all, and even when you take into account lifetime emissions, it's lower than any other source of generating electricity. However, that hasn't always been properly reflected and recognised in ESG considerations, for example, and the advent of a taxonomy into a number of taxonomies around the world, I think will help to make that much clearer for the investment community.
Yeah. And why is it generally, Tom, that it's so difficult to finance new nuclear in the UK? Do you think, I mean, some people mention the idea of de-risking the construction phase of these projects, and do you think that the RAB model, the regulated assets-based model, would enhance nuclear investment, make it easier for investors?
I do. I think the issue with nuclear power stations is they, albeit they produce a lot of electricity from a relatively small site, they're capital-intensive projects. Almost all of the money you need comes at the start before you generate any electricity, and because they cost billions of pounds, although they'll last 80 years plus, you've got to find most of that money at the start, and that makes the cost of capital quite high, and it has been in past projects proved to be prohibitive to get them off the ground. It's not a technology issue, it's a financing issue, and the advent of a RAB model alongside the government stake, for example, in relation to sizeable and a much clearer set of priorities around the programme of nuclear, I think will help to make all of those factors will help to de-risk the process of construction, which can take a number of years, but once you've built it, the infrastructure you've got will last a very, very long time and produce a lot of clean electricity.
Yeah. So hopefully that will catalyse investment. And what about the high hopes that everybody has for Great British Nuclear as being, if you like, a sort of programmatic approach to nuclear investment? Do you think that will also catalyse investment? And do you think it'll be able to meet the expectations that you hear for it?
Well, there are very high expectations for Great British Nuclear, which will be formally launched in a couple of weeks' time. But the idea of having a programme is something we haven't had properly before for a very, very long period of time. And you don't have to look very far across the world or very far back to see that the most successful nuclear deployments come when there is a defined, incredible programme for people to be able to invest to. And that is one of the key things that the government have set out the high level standards for, but which GBN can help to frame and therefore help to deliver. And that's the key important part of Great British Nuclear, and why it is something which is so key to confidence in the sector.
So people can see that there's a pipeline of projects, that there's a standardisation.
Beyond the sort of headline of up to 24 gigawatts, 25%, which are in the energy security strategy, that actually there's a bit more clarity about what that means and where it means it and what technologies, and that will help to, I think, provide a much greater focus on the programme, and that's really what the supply chain needs to be able to invest to meet to secure that work. And it also is important for various different technology vendors and therefore for their investors.
Yeah, and I suppose you mentioned about the difficulty of these big projects, complex projects. It takes a long time before cash flow is realised, positive cash flow coming back. So to what extent do you think that SMRs, small modular reactors, and AMRs have a role in the mix? And I guess to some extent they overcome some of the issues we just discussed.
Yeah, I mean, they're different. Obviously, the SME, it stands for small, and they're smaller, and therefore you need less capital to be able to build them if they're 500 megawatts or less, or 350, depending on which technology you're looking at, compared to something which is, you know, two reactors is 3.2 gigawatts at Hinkley, for example. They're a different scale, but it's actually the M that's most significant in this, the modular. Modular construction, factory construction, helps to de-risk all sorts of aspects of construction and on-site activity. And standardization, like anything else you build in a factory, the more you do, economies of volume can help you overcome the economies of scale. But it's not a choice between SMR and large scale. We're going to need both for the amount of capacity we're going to require. There are a number of sites which are potentially suitable for SMR that wouldn't be suitable for larger scale reactors. And there's also, in terms of advanced reactors, you know, high temperature heat, for example, which will be much more significant in some of the deeper decarbonisation beyond grid electricity. So they all have a part to play, I think, and that's why the GBN approach to the programme is going to be so important.
Yeah, no, understood. So taken together, hopefully they'll provide the base load electricity generation the country will need during the energy transition. In terms of government policy, obviously not that long ago, the government published its revised net zero strategy and its green finance strategy. Have those been, in your opinion, have those been supportive of pushing new nuclear along the line further?
Yeah, I think some of the policies we've had from the government in the last 12 months or so, or just over 12 months, from the energy security strategy, have been really important, and in net zero as well, because what they help people understand and to see is that actually the path towards getting to that net zero, more energy secure future, where you have clean power and power that isn't potentially impacted by the international geopolitics that has caused a huge increase in power prices that we saw over the last year or so, is really important, and it's key to the future. We've had a reality check, I think, in terms of how you deliver that, and that's why nuclear has come back into much more of the discussion. It was always there, I think, but for you know, in terms of a wider public debate, nuclear is much more front and centre of that. I think that's been really important. The signals of that have come from government policy. There are other things that we need to see happening on the UK taxonomy, for example, on the programme from GBN to enable us to really get going and help to deliver the nuclear part of that 2050 clean power mix we're going to need for the future.
Yeah, well, hopefully the stars are aligned, Tom, and new nuclear is set there for a real renaissance, and I think it plays a very important role in energy transitions. So thank you very much for your time. Sadly, that's all we have time for. So thank you for sharing those insights, Tom. And just for our viewers, to remind them that Tom will be moderating a panel on delivering new nuclear in the UK, investment opportunities at the 18th Annual UK Sustainable Infrastructure Summit at the Cavendish Conference Centre on the 6th of July. We very much hope that you can all join us. Tom, thanks so much.
Thank you.